Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the Grand Cosmos. This is the newest dungeon made available by patch 5.1 in Final Fantasy XIV, Vows of Virtue, Deeds of Cruelty. You may have thought that we'd get Numo cool dungeons after all this time, but this one is straight fire. My name is Miztech and I'll be your dungeon guide. The first boss is the Seeker of Solitude. Shadowbolt will target the primary target for a heavy-hitting tank buster. Immortal Anathema will deal group-wide damage. Shield and heal through these attacks as necessary. Eventually, the boss will move to the center of the room and cast Tribulation, dropping a number of filthy puddles around the platform. A set of brooms will appear on either side and begin to move across the platform, stopping to sweep up any dirty patches they hit on the way. Players will also need to move out of any large AoE circle attacks during this time. Getting hit by a broom will knock you back, deal damage, and apply a vulnerability up debuff. Since the puddles of filth will break up the line of brooms, players will need to maneuver in between them to avoid them. Do note that the actual area effect of the cleanup is much larger than the original dirt, so be sure to move well away. Dark Pulse will mark up a player with this stack up marker. The group will need to stand together to share the incoming damage. Immediately after, players will need to spread to avoid overlapping Darkwell circles. At this point, these mechanics will repeat with some overlap. Make sure you stay well away from the brooms as they go about their business. You'll make your way through these gorgeous gardens until you hit the second boss, Leanne and Sith. Storm of Color will deal high damage to the primary target. Ode to Lost Love will deal group-wide damage. Be sure to shield and heal through these as necessary. Eventually, the boss will move into the center of the room and cast Direct Seeding. This will cause section of the platform to form green, fertile areas, and a number of seedlings will spawn around the room. Seedlings in the green area will eventually spawn an ad that will need to be destroyed before it explodes, or it'll deal high damage and apply debuffs to everyone in the group. To avoid these completely, players can pick up the seedlings and drop them outside of the green areas. Ode to Far Winds will cause a number of large AoE circles to form around the platform in a set pattern. Each player will also have an AoE marker on them that they'll need to spread to avoid overlapping. Move into the safe zones in between the ground AoEs to avoid excess damage. Ode to Fallen Petals will form a room-wide AoE attack with the only safe zone in melee range of the boss. Move into the safe zone to avoid getting hit. During the next round of seedlings, everything and everyone on the platform will be pushed away from one side. This time, players will need to ensure that the seeds are not pushed into a green zone. The seeds move one platform square, so as long as they're placed in such a way that they land in a dry section, you won't spawn any ads. Should any extra ads grow, make sure you kill them immediately to avoid excess damage. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. Finally, we reach the final boss, the insatiable flame Lugus. If you look around the room, you'll find a number of flammable objects. You'll want to avoid destroying these for now, so be careful not to get too close. The boss will cast either Scorching Left or Scorching Right and swipe on the relative side for high damage. Players will need to move to the opposite side before the cast ends to avoid this. Otherworldly Heat will target all players with these orange markers. Immediately after, a cross-shaped fire pattern will appear on the ground underneath them that will quickly explode in a wider AoE. To avoid this, players will need to move away from the fire line indicators. To minimize the effect on the room, players can also stack up as long as they make sure to safely move out of the incoming explosions. Should the fire from this explosion hit any of the items around the room, they will catch fire and eventually be destroyed. Mortal Flame will target all players with a blue marker. This will place a debuff on them that will kill them if not removed in time. To remove Mortal Flame, players must light one of the items around the room on fire. If there are no items left, you will probably die. Fire's Domain will mark up each player from 1 to 4, and the boss will tether to the first player. The tethered player must first ensure they move far enough away so that the tether turns purple. The boss will then rush to the player, deal damage, and begin to cast a large frontal cone fire attack. This attack will also set any flammable items aflame, so be careful where you're standing. The boss will target each player in turn with the same combo of attacks. Calling Blade will deal high group-wide damage. The first time this is cast, it will also cause the crystal chandeliers to fall from the ceiling. These chandeliers can act as extra flammable items if you find yourself needing to cleanse Mortal Flame again. Just make sure you don't destroy them before that time with your AoE placements. Captive Bolt will deal high damage to the primary target. Shield and heal through this as necessary. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is destroyed. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll look at the next iteration of Hades. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.